do your dharma, duty, that comes first. The responsibilities come first, than your personal passion and things like that. So, to me, music is God. Doesn't matter what kind of genre of music.
Absolutely.
Yes, some music I do not understand, like hip hop and rap and all that stuff, which I cannot associate myself to. But that doesn't mean that music is bad.
This is Built by Grit, where we celebrate hard work, courage, and the people who never give up. Real journeys, real lessons, real grit. Let's get started. I'm your host, Deepa. VK, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on your show, Deepa. First of all, Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, my prostrations to my parents and for all my gurus that have shaped me in my life to what I am today. So thank you very much again for inviting me to your podcast, and hello to all your listeners as well.
Thank you. My pleasure. VK, so before we get started, can you kick this conversation off with an auspicious, maybe a Carnatic song?
Okay. Absolutely. We will definitely talk about keyboard and Carnatic a little bit more in the later part of this podcast. But as you requested, definitely I will be able to play a Carnatic song to kickstart this proceedings today.
Absolutely.
I will play Mahaganapatim in the Ragam Natik.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So, VK, can you take us back to your, childhood days? How did, music learning start for you?
My music learning unofficially started with my guru and my mother, Srimati V. Sulochana. She was a fantastic singer. She used to be called a slogam mami because she taught slogams to a lot of women in that area. We used to live in an area called Adambakam in Chennai. So, 10 o'clock around that time in the morning, all these women, they are free, right? All the kids have gone to school. So they come home, about 10, 8 to 10 women, and then they all learn slokams, all the slokams, Abhirami and the Saundarya Lahari, Kanakadara Stotram, you name it, every slokam. So this music was always running in the background for us, right? My mom did not learn formal Carnatic music, but she was very natural in being able to pick up tunes and be able to sing, right? She never went through music theory and all that stuff, but she was able to sing. So I have constantly been hearing my mom sing. And as a result, all my family members, I have two elder brothers. I am the youngest in the family. So all three of us had this ability to be able to listen and be able to replicate with our vocal voices. So all three of us sing reasonably good. I wouldn't call myself a great singer, but I can keep the shruti and pitch 90% of the times. So, but that's where it started. The first step was unofficially, learning music passively
From
by
mom.
my mom. Yes, all three of us, right? So, and then what happened was that my dad, Sri S. Venkatesan, both my mom and dad are no more now, but my dad got a harmonium from my party. My party also sings very well. My mom's mom, maternal grandmother. So she also sang all the slokams and all that stuff. So at the party, வீட்ல ஒரு harmonium was there. That harmonium had a lot of holes in the bellow. So by the time you play, the air is gone, right? So so my dad went and fixed that harmonium and then brought it home. And then I used to play and then hear that note and then figure out, oh, what is sa, what is re. Then I used to stick Sarigama then I used to write it down or put stickers there. That is how I learned myself. So keyboard was a much later phase. It started with harmonium. Of what I was able to listen and be able to play. This started even before I started formally getting initiated into a formal Carnatic music training, okay, which I'll come to that step next. So in this step, I used to play harmonium by just listening and playing. So naturally, I had a very good ear thanks to the goddess Saraswati for giving me that talent, because this is something which very few people have.
So true.
I'm so blessed to have that. So that helped me try to play tunes by listening, but trial and error. I was not sure exactly what note is re, what note is ga, but I used to try. If it is wrong, I used to try a different key. That's how it started on the harmonium. And even in my school, I remember there was a black and white photo that was taken. I don't have that photo right now. Otherwise, I would have shared that with you. So it was me standing on stage. The harmonium was kept on the desk. I was so short that my face was barely visible from the audience. So that photo was there. I think that school I studied St. John's right next to the Madras airport. There was a mountain, small mountain, St. Thomas Mount. So from there, the planes come so low when the plane goes to the airport to land in Chennai. So I used to study in that school for 3 years, 4th to 6th standard. So that time, one of the years, I used to play harmonium. I still vividly remember that. Okay, so that's how it started informally. And then seeing this interest and aptitude for music, my mom and dad said, hey, why don't you learn from my sister? So my mom's younger sister, my chitti, her name is Srimati Bharati. So she was my official first music guru. Okay? So I learned from her right from Saralivarisai all the way, you know the drill, all the way to Varnams and Kritis. So I learned with my chitti, Bharati chitti, for about 4.5 years, almost 5 years, through my middle school and high school. Okay. And this is where a strategic shift happened to where I am today in terms of what I do on the daily day-to-day basis. I was a first ranked student until 6th grade. Okay. Starting 7th grade is where I started learning music also for my chitti. And that is when my music interest started peaking. And my grades started coming down.
Sure.
In academics, I was not a first ranker anymore, second, third, but my music interest started going up, right, in that scale. So, and then it continued on into middle school, high school. And then by the time I went to college, the music stopped like everybody else. College took precedence and I had to take a backseat with music. But in the meantime, after about 4.5 years, my mom and dad said, you know what, I think you should go to the next level. Right? And my chitti also suggested that, yeah, I think, I've made you come to this level. Now somebody else should take you to the next level. Right. So, and then there was a go-to Adya Vidwan, Sri Kitappa, that came right opposite my house. He was actually residing right exactly in front of my house. I just have to cross the street and in this house. So I used to go there. He had harmonium also. He was a go-to Adya Vidwan. Okay. But he taught with harmonium. He used to play harmonium while singing and teaching.
Go-to Vadyam is what's called the Chitraveena these days.
Go-to Vadyam is like Ravi Kiran Vasikar, yeah. Right. So there is no frets. It's a fretless instrument. It's a fretless instrument.
They call it Chitraveena these days, right?
Correct. So he was one of those very few exponents of Go-to Vadyam. And he was an AIR grade artist, right? So he was a performing artist in AIR. So in fact, I had the golden opportunity while I was learning for those few years, not just learning with him, on a direct personal basis, but also watching him play on the harmonium while he's teaching. Right? That became a big inspiration for me. How can somebody sing and play harmonium at the same time? Right? So that was a big eye opener for me. Until the time, I was either playing or singing. I was not doing both at the same time. Right? And I wouldn't say myself as a great harmonium player at the time. Yeah, I was still trying my hand, trial and error, and things like that. Right? And I used to accompany. He used to ask me to come to AIR concert recordings in the studio. So I used to go put tampura and all that stuff. I still very vividly remember those days. Okay, it was a fantastic experience. And there was also another Bhagavatar friend of ours who used to live in the backstage, back of our house. He used to come to go to Vidwan Sri Kitappa's house to discuss a lot of musical things. Both those Bhagavatars will discuss. So those are also very interesting things that happen in that part of life. And then, of course, I graduated to college, and then the music kind of took a backseat. But in college, there's a very interesting episode. Juniors always get ragged by the seniors, right? Yeah. So I also was pulled up to the cafeteria, because we can't go to the college without passing through the cafeteria. So they'll pull us, va, come. And then they ask to do a lot of ragging stuff, right? And then they ask, what else do you do? I said, I can sing. What do you sing? Carnatic music. Oh, Bhagavatar Vanta, Kindala, you know how it is. Our part out today, something like that they said. So I sang Broche Varevarura. Okay. Broche Varevarura. That song I sang. That's all. That is the end of it. Okay. They said, from that point on, every time when I come to college, they call Broche Vapad. Broche Vapad. You had no idea. For the first 1.5 months, I sang Broche Va almost 50 times.
And that was probably also a popular song back then because of the Shankarabharana movie, right?
Correct. You are absolutely right. 80s, yeah, 80s. The Shankarabharana movie, Telugu movie, was hugely popular. Someyajulu, right? He acted in that movie. Right. So, and then what happened was that I studied in Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, SVC, which is a big college now. But at that point, it was very small college, 3 years old. When I came into the first year, there were only 2 more years ahead of us. Yeah. There was not even a 4th year. They had only 3 disciplines: computer science, electronics and communication, and mechanical. That's it. Only 3. And only 3 classrooms. One computer science had 60 people. Only 180 people in a batch. That's how small the college
University was. Yeah.
When I was entering in the 3rd year. Another interesting thing is that college is where I got the opportunity. There was already a light music group in that college. Very established. They go to all the college culturals and then do all the stuff. But I was asked by seniors to say, we have a light music group, but we want somebody in the Carnatic music to compete. Okay? So will you be the Carnatic music singer?
Go-to person, yeah.
No, go-to long a part of college. So we went there. On the Carnatic music, there were a couple of seniors that accompanied me. Sridharan was a mridangam player from the 3rd year, which is the senior most year, right? And then there was another player, Violin. When I say the name, you will recognize who that is. His name was V. Kamakoti, who is the current IIT director in Madras.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have had the privilege to have Kamakoti accompany me on the violin when I used to sing for my college. Anyway, that was a few college performances, inter-college culturals. So we used to practice, perform. I mean, I go on stage, and when I start singing, people will do all those all those actions, right? I will not care. I didn't care. I said, I have practiced. I'm going to sing no matter what you do, right? That's the attitude I had. So I never had stage fright. I can play in front of people literally anywhere. I can sing, I can play keyboard, no problem. I've never talked. I'm not a talking person in front of people, but I'm a very social person. But on stage, talking is not my forte. Anyway, so that's how it started. But that is the time when my interest in keyboard peaked also, towards the late high school and into college. It's just that I was not able to do music, light music, which I was very interested to play on the keyboard in college, because there was already a senior group which was very well established, and they used to have culturals winning prizes all over the place. They were a fantastic group. So that started. And then I came to the US from a Carnatic music perspective after a long gap, after very few years. I learned from Sri Ashok Subramanian.
Ashok Subramanian.
I knew Ashok sir வருவியா மாட்டியா கிளாஸுக்கு அப்பப்போ வர அப்பப்போ மூஞ்ச காமிக்கிற it's very casual. This is how we
Right.
talk. So it was so much fun to learn that kind of a very relaxed. There is no pressure. We just go
Sure.
there, enjoy that class time, and then practice a little bit before the next class. And I used to attend a couple of recitals also and sang in Ashok's recital. So that was great.
Oh, nice.
And then
Nice.
finally, there was one more thing that happened when I started teaching keyboard. One of the Bay Area music gurus, Srimati Vaidehi Sudarshan.
Okay.
She's a Carnatic music guru. Also Carnatic guru for my sons who learned from her first in this country,
Okay.
in Fremont. So she wanted to learn keyboard from me. And then I said, okay, let's do a barter trade. You teach me Carnatic vocal, I will teach you keyboard. So that's how, I learned a few more, kritis and
Kritis,
varnam
right.
from Vaidehi also for 1 year or so. It went on for about a few
Nice.
months to a year. So that's how my music journey in Carnatic music, went through so far. But it's a vast ocean, so still
It
learning the
is.
ropes. Still learning the ropes.
Awesome. Awesome. No, great story, VK. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So, all along when you were playing keyboard, was Carnatic the biggest part of your exploration on the keyboard, or you also, explored other aspects like other genres of music as well?
Great question. So Carnatic is what I initially started off because that's what I was learning and playing on the harmonium, right? So
Right.
the keyboard journey started in the mid 80s or early 80s, right? My eldest brother, Sri Rajendran, we call him Rajananna, and the second brother Sridharanna. So they are both into gadgets, especially Rajananna. He used to buy a lot of gadgets. In fact, we used to have vinyl record player in the 80s in our house.
Oh, nice.
Early
Nice.
80s. In fact, Michael Jackson Thriller, we had this thing, the plate. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember that. Yeah. So it was always a gadget thing. So my brother bought a Casio VL5. The VL5 is like a 1.5 octave or 1 octave. I don't even remember how many octaves.
Okay.
But the keys are like square, like a small 1 centimeter by 1, not even 1 centimeter. You can Google VL5, Casio VL5. It is so small. Only a fingertip will touch the key. So you have to play like this, ding, 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 ding. You have to be careful. Okay.
Okay.
So that's how the keyboard journey started. And then he got a bigger keyboard, PT30 Casio, and then PT80, and then MT70, and then we got a Yamaha PSS 590. Now, story about that Yamaha PSS 590. That was the 4-octave keyboard. PSS 590 is where my initial foray into using a Gamakas started. That keyboard still didn't have a pitch bender wheel. Now, I'll explain what a pitch bender and all this stuff is in later portion. But the pitch bender wheel is where it controls when you play a note, you can make a note go down or go up. Like that. The glides, we call it. Right. So those kind of things you can do with the pitch bender. But that keyboard still didn't have a pitch bender. But it had the capability to receive MIDI messages with pitch bender events in them. Okay. So one of my friends, his name is Shrikant. He's a very good music composer in the indie world. He lives in the East Coast near Maryland. So he was one of the keyboard players that came in when me and my brother started a music group. This was after my college. After I finished my college in 1991, we started a group called Alapana. My brother is an excellent singer, so he was the lead singer. I was one of the keyboard players, but I knew to play lead instruments by hearing. But I didn't know the concept of the accompaniments, chords, and all that stuff. Okay, so we wanted another keyboard player to supplement me. But he was the main instrumental reason how I watched him and then learned what these chords are, and so on and so forth. So Srikant was a very big inspiration also. So in terms of gurus, I treat him like my guru as well, because he was a very good mentor and inspiration for that. And he had a software called Cakewalk, which is a composing sequencing software. So you play one instrument at a time, one track at a time, which is very popular, which is very common these days anyway. At those times, only very few people like A.R. Rahman or other people had access to those kind of things. So because even having a computer was a big deal. No household had a computer.
That's right.
We had a computer in 1990 in our house, desktop.
Right.
That is very rare actually, right? So So we used to have that software. Those were floppy disk times. Remember 5 1/4 inch floppies?
Yeah.
So we used to install that software. Shrikant gave us the software. We installed it and playing around, and he helped me how to use that software. So Cakewalk software is where all the film songs, track by track, we listen and then we record, and then we used to go and perform using the computer. It's not even a laptop. We used to take the desktop, we
Take
used
the
to take
whole
the
computer.
monitor on stage. I'm not kidding, on stage. Okay. So we used to have, and the computer would used to play. Some songs we used to do live, some songs it used to play. Very complex. So we used to do that. And that's when I learned that 1991, a lot of things about MIDI, about a lot of things about orchestration, about a lot of things of what goes on in the recording industry and all that stuff. So that was a big eye-opening moment for me, the 1991, 92. And then 94, I applied to come to the US, and 95 I was here, and then Alapana went into dissolution. But Korean Gudimi Summa Kumana, there is a statement, right? I came to the US, completely new country. I had zero people that I knew. Okay. So I built literally, 3 months, 4 months into it. Somebody from HCL, where I used to work, I used to play in HCL annual events and on keyboard. Somebody used to sing, I used to play. So they said, why don't you approach this Tamil Mandram? There's something called Bay Area Tamil Mandram. They may have some events that you may be able to showcase your keyboard.
Right.
So yeah, so he mentioned that, and then I talked to one of the Tamil Mandram people. Her name is Jayanti. She unfortunately passed away just a year and a half back. So I have a very good this thing for
Memories.
her, because she was one of the main instrumental reasons why my music as a musician in the Bay Area, that's my first debut, right? She was directing a drama of S.V. Shekhar's name, Kadulapu.
Yes,
Okay,
I've
that
seen
drama.
that. Yeah.
Correct. Kadalapu drama. I've heard Kadalapu long time back in Chennai also. But
Right.
that drama was enacted by local Bay Area artists. And she was
Oh,
directing.
okay.
She was directing it, and she needed background music for that. So then I went there for the practice. And then that's how my Bay Area music journey started. When I went there to practice, one of the guys who was acting as Dhumaketu, Bhimaketu was Krishna and the Shivan, wow, I think Nirmal. So these two people, and there was one guy who came to play guitar. Jang போடுறது அப்படின்னு S.V. Shekhar also used to say. அதுக்கு என்ன jang? He used to comment, right? So there was a guitar player, Murali. So when I went there to play, and these people, நீ என்ன வாசிக்கிறியே? நம்ம ஒரு music group ஆரம்பிக்கலாம். We can start a music group, right? That is how Pallavi in the Bay Area started. So in effect, the Pallavi journey had its roots on that Kadalapu drama rehearsal.
Right.
That's how everything came together. So I was lucky that within 4 to 5 months of my stay in the US, my Tanimai got broken. Suddenly the floodgates opened up, right?
Right.
Very interesting thing about that particular drama is I was supposed to play based on situation. In the
Okay.
situation you play.
Okay.
So Jayanti came and said, the பாரு இந்த சீன்ல காத்தால சீனு ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு பூபாலம் அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஒரு நல்ல காத்தால வாசி. நான் பாட்டு அந்த ஜோக் எல்லாம் கேட்டு அப்படியே சிரிச்சுட்டு இருந்தேன். பின்னாடில இருந்து ஷிப்ப கேமன் தட்டி போயிட்டு and said, உனக்கு பூபாலம் வாசிக்க சொன்ன சிரிச்சுன்னு உட்காந்துட்டு இருக்கேன். நான் அதான் சொன்னேன் அடுத்தது. அதான் போது விடிஞ்சாச்சு. இனிமே பூபாலம் வாசிச்சா புண்ணியம். So we still remember those moments very vividly. So Pallavi started, and Pallavi, we had the first program again for Tamil Mandram next year when they had their annual light music event in April. So we did our first show for Tamil Mandram 1996. Officially, we were not called Pallavi at that time. It was a collection of instrumentalists and singers that came in and they performed. And we filled the void that was there in Tamil film music, live music in the Bay Area. There were groups which performed in the 80s, people who came first generation. After that, they all became busy with the kids going to high school and all that stuff. And suddenly there is a void. We kind of completely filled that void very beautifully. So people loved our shows. And this was the first 5 years of Pallavi until 2000 was, unbelievably busy. We were doing performances almost every 2 months, 3 months. Every weekend we'll be practicing for 3-4 hours. Those were fun times. And then we only do shows for fundraisers, for raising funds for non-profits who do a lot of good work back in India.
Sure.
In fact, Shankara Eye Foundation, which is one of the very senior organizations in terms of a role model for how they run, how effective their fundraising strategy is, how effective their utilization of funds is, right? In terms of administrative, thing is so low compared to, so they are like the role model. Every non-profit would want to mimic them. So we are proud, we are honored and humbled that we did the first fundraiser for Sankara in the Bay Area.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah. So
Very nice.
Shankara's first, the marketing program or whatever to reach the people. So Murli, who's the founder of Shankara, was one of the singers in our group, or is
Ah,
one of the singers. He was also one of the singers in the first group, first program that we did for Tamil Mandapam,
nice,
96.
nice.
That's how everything came together. Yeah.
Got it,
So,
got it.
so
So when, you were playing Carnatic all along and then you slowly got into light music and film
uh
music, did you ever feel the need to, or was there ever a guilt feeling in you that you're not keeping up on the Carnatic music?
not really. So to me, music is God. Doesn't matter what kind of genre of music it is.
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
some music I do not understand, like hip hop and rap and all that stuff, which I cannot associate myself to. But that doesn't mean that music is bad. Just because you
Sure.
don't have a liking towards a certain music, music is still music. Singing a rap, I understand, is equally very, very difficult because
Yeah.
getting that kala pramanam, like in Carnatic music, even for singing rap has a kala pramanam. You have to sing the
Yeah,
bring the words.
indeed.
It's not very easy. Yeah. So every music is divine. Okay. The my concept, yes, from a Carnatic music perspective, they always say Carnatic music is more bhakti oriented because of the lyrical
Right.
content. To
Right.
me, music is still divinity because just because of the concept of music in
Music.
itself, in terms of
Very well said.
tonal
Yeah.
tune and all that stuff, right? Just the shruti is good enough, right? The omkara, that sound of the universe, right?
Right.
That
Right.
itself is divinity. That itself is something that gives that feeling of rest, that stress free, blissful feeling.
Effect. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct. So I treat music only like that. When I play
Mm.
Carnatic or light music, my attitude towards music is exactly the
Is the
same.
same. Same.
To me,
Okay.
music is music. Yeah, some people are hardcore Carnatic people. They may not like classical film music, but to me, I don't differentiate. I'm a free form musician.
Fair.
Whatever gives
Fair.
me happiness,
Happiness. Right.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So, VK, along the way, you mentioned that the technology in the keyboard has improved quite a bit these days. That you can actually play Gamakas of Carnatic music in keyboard. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
absolutely. So when I mentioned about the PSS 590 Yamaha, which had the
Mm-hmm.
capability to get input messages, but still never had a pitch bend. So what I had was that I wanted to see how that works.
Mm.
Srikant told me, oh, you can insert these messages manually in the software, just like we
Mm.
go to a Google Doc and insert a paragraph or insert a
Mm.
line,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Similarly, treat the software like a music editing software. So you play the keyboard is connected to the computer through an interface. At that time, there was no USB. USB was non-existent in early 90s. Okay.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it used to be in the desktop, there used to be something in the motherboard called PCI slots.
Okay.
We used to buy a PCI card and then insert in the motherboard. And then the PCI card had a kind of a stupid interface that we have to connect. And then that box we have to connect to the keyboard through the MIDI cable. So
Uh-huh.
there was a lot
Uh-huh.
of moving parts. That's how a keyboard can communicate to the computer and vice versa. So the keyboard, when I play, it generates a MIDI message. MIDI is basically an abbreviation for musical instruments digital interface. That's
Okay.
basically a spec that was formed back in, I don't know, maybe even 70s or maybe
Mm.
60s.
Mm. Mm.
So it's
Mm.
not something very new. It's basically like a Java spec or a JMS spec or whatever spec. It is
Sure.
basically a specification that says when one instrument needs to talk to another,
Okay.
this is the format they are going to talk to, like a language,
Okay.
so that they can understand. Now, what is the usefulness of this in those times? When I have a keyboard and I have a guitar, if I play in the guitar, the
Mm.
keyboard should sound. We used to
Oh.
call it as a master slave, but we don't use master slave these days because of the slavery and the things related to that. Though we call it a producer consumer. So
Okay.
the master keyboard produces the music, the other keyboard consumes that music and be able to play. Now, how will it be able to
Interesting.
play? How
Yeah.
will it be able to play? Because when I play a note, let's say G, the other keyboard should know, the other instrument, the B, should know that it is G that is played, correct?
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that it's a sequence of bytes. It's very small. When I play a note, it's only like less than 10, 15 bytes or 20 bytes. That's it. It's very small. It says what note I played, how hard I played, because keyboard has a concept called touch sensitivity. The moment I play soft, the volume is low. If I hit hard, the volume is high. How does the
Uh,
keyboard know? because of the electronics. It knows the
Right,
pressure
right,
with which
right,
you
right,
play, right?
right.
So in piano also they do that, right? They hit it hard
Yes,
for
yes, yes.
very loud music, and they play soft when it is very mild and nice. So keyboard also has that, but in an electronic way. So
Mm,
even that
mm.
information, the volume of the note that you press, how long, it doesn't know how long until you release it. So the
Ah,
on and the off. So the
mm,
on message is sent. Until the off message comes, it's going to keep playing the on message. The moment you took your hand off, it's going to send the off message, right? So on off messages, though, that is how a MIDI is translated. Now, with respect to the instruments, keyboard, the advantage of keyboard with respect to a piano or a harmonium is keyboard has hundreds of instruments,
uh-huh,
sounds, right?
uh-huh. Right,
Guitar,
right.
harmonium, trumpet, organ, you name it, flute, scala, clarinet,
Yes.
brass instruments, everything can be played on the keyboard, right? So when you change, we call it as a patch change. Patch means relates to an instrument. So when you do a patch change, even the patch change is sent as a MIDI message to the other instrument,
Uh-huh.
which is in the master slave environment, right? So the producer changes, the consumer knows, oh, okay, now I changed it to piano, now I should sound piano, right? So this concept is what is being used currently in the music industry also. Remember when I
Mm,
told you about cakewalk? Instead of producer consumer being both instruments,
mm,
now one of them will be computer. When I
mm,
play on the keyboard, computer is the consumer.
mm.
When I record everything and play back from the computer, now computer is the producer and keyboard is the consumer. Keyboard will play it. The messages will come from the computer and the keyboard will sound. So that is how we started doing all these MIDI messages and keyboard. So
Right, right.
keyboard fascination started to me back in the late 80s itself when I was in college.
So, and you
Um,
use that MIDI format to communicate the gamakam in the keyboard?
Yes.
How
So
does that
from a
work?
Gamakan perspective, unfortunately, keyboard can provide, but keyboard didn't have that pitch bend wheel
Ah,
to
ah.
simulate that Gamakan. But since the other keyboard had the concept of getting the Gamakam in, but I wanted to know how to play Gamakam, so I went to a Veena exponent. She's a very famous person, Jayanti Kumaresh
Yes, of
of
course.
Ganesh Kumaresh fame, right?
Yes.
So Jayanti was a Vainika.
Yeah.
So one of my college friend's sister learned from Jayanti. So
Okay.
when I was talking to my friend, he says, "Hey, my sister is also learning from Jayanti. I can take you to Jayanti's house. So she can record one song for you, and then you can record it in a cassette tape, and then you can listen. And you can try to simulate that Gamakam."
Simulate
So
that. Yeah.
she played Brova Barama Ragurama, okay,
Ah,
in
ah.
Bahudari. She gave me the record. I recorded it in my cassette recorder. So I took the cassette home. I listened to her playing, and then ta da ta ta ta. So Dani pa pa dani pa maga. So the way, however she played, I was able to listen, and then that I have to insert in the computer. So the
Ah,
way
ah.
pada, so in the new keyword pada the da itself I can go to ni by stretching it,
Correct,
right?
correct.
Pada, that da will stretch to ni. I don't even have to touch the ni key. So
Hmm.
same way, but when I play in the computer, I have to only play pada pa maga. I have to play
Mm,
very
mm,
flat,
mm, mm.
hoping that I can fix the da to go to ni in the
In
post
the
processing,
software.
in the software.
Yeah. Ah.
So I have to plan and play very bland and then insert those MIDI events based on how she played and then calculate how many beats are there, how many ticks are there within the beat, how many
Right.
ticks,
Oh my
right?
God.
And then put in those MIDI events in the software. And when I play
Ah.
back, that is connected back to the computer, right? Now computer will play the pitch bend, right? That is how I learned. So I I have programmed to the minutest tick in terms of beats, how the
Yeah,
beats is
absolutely.
split.
Right, right,
So
right.
it gave me a lot of insight about sub beats and the ticks and how to
Correct,
program and all
correct,
that stuff. So
correct.
that was an eye-opening moment for me from a Carnatic music pitch bend perspective. That opened up my wow. Even without me being able to simulate, I can. But then the problem was I can still not simulate it directly by playing, just like how I did
Right,
now
right.
earlier on for the Mahaganapatim, right? The newer keyboards all have pitch bend wheel mostly. If you
Yes.
take $250, $300 or above, many keyboards have the pitch bend wheel. If you go to
Mm.
$100, $150 cheap keyboards, they may not have pitch bend, but many beginner keyboards, I'll still treat the $300, $400 keyboards as beginner level keyboards because
Mhm, mhm.
Yamaha and Casio pretty much dominate that field. Okay,
Right,
that
right,
beginner level keyboard. So every household you go, there'll be a keyboard, irrespective of whether
right.
somebody plays or not. There'll be a keyboard, right? They
That's
may have
right.
touched it for a few times. After that, it's laying there on the stand, cover with
Right.
the cover, right? So those are very popular and they last long also. They are cheap keyboards in terms of value, in terms of money you pay. but the amount of value they provide is
Right.
really pretty
Yeah.
good. In fact, I will showcase that by playing a song with the providing the orchestral accompaniments and also what they can do, even though they are beginner keyboards. So
Got it.
that
Got
is
it.
definitely something that provoked me from a portamento pitch bend
Two.
perspective. Pitch bend.
Got
I
it.
did
Got
not
it.
realize. I did not realize that there were other ways to do programming, other ways to do Carnatic music on the keyboard. I was only figuring out that pitch bend is the only way. So when I came
Hmm.
to the US, I got my first keyboard myself. Until then, all
Hmm.
the keyboards that I mentioned were bought by my brother.
Brother. Right.
I was just a recipient usage. I used it to my advantage. That's all. But when I came to the US, the first thing that I bought was that keyboard. In fact, that's another interesting story. Some of my people that came to pick me up, they will tell me even now. Uh, we come with 2 bags. Literally, we came with two
Yes.
bags, two
Right.
check-in baggages.
Yeah.
One of the check-in baggages had my keyboard, that 4-octave
Okay.
Yamaha PSS 490,
Right.
590.
Right.
That keyboard I got from India. Remember the keyboard where I used to send MIDI messages back for Bro Burma
Yeah.
testing?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That
Yeah.
keyboard is what I bought. That keyboard I brought here because
Hmm.
I don't know when I'm going to buy the next keyboard in the US. I don't know what the situation is. So I said, okay, let me take the keyboard as a
Check-in luggage.
support,
Right.
emotional support. Okay,
Yes.
so I got that keyboard. One of the things was wrapped in all this, clothing. So it came in one piece. So I was happy about it. And then about 4 months, 3 months later is when I got my first keyboard myself, my own earning, Yamaha PSR 520. That 520 had a pitch bend wheel.
Pitch.
That's where I started doing a little bit of pitch bend, but at that time, not too much Carnatic. But I used to do that for our light music group, Pallavi, because Pallavi was in full flow in 96 and so on, right? So I started using it for film songs, which also require pitch bend, by the way.
Right.
People
Right.
think that pitch bend is only associated for Carnatic. No,
Carnatic music.
pitch bend is to bend pitch. And there are lots of instances where in film songs, you have to bend the pitch to get that effect. Otherwise, you're going to sound bland. Okay. So I
Got
can
it.
explain to you while I'm giving
Sure.
a live, practical thing. But pitch bend is absolutely important, whether it's Carnatic or live. Now,
Got it.
also combined with that, later on, I realized that there is also a feature called portamento. A
Hmm.
portamento, basically what it does is, if I play a sa and I play a pa,
Hmm.
individually sa, pa, it discreetly it jumps, right?
Right.
But portamento, you can set up to say, if I hold the sa, don't let go of the sa, but press pa. And then let go of the sa if I want to. It connects and glides from sa to pa.
Ah.
Sa, like that.
Oh,
And
nice.
now,
Okay.
that portamento effect, you can also control the rate at which it connects. Sa, fast போலாம் இல்ல sa, you can go
Huh.
slowly also. Depending on the requirement, you can control how fast or how slow you want the glide to happen between two notes. And that will happen only when you play in the style called legato. In Western classical, there's a concept of playing staccato and legato. Staccato
Yes.
means
Yes.
you make an explicit pause between the
Pass.
next note and the
Yeah.
current note. Legato means you don't have a gap between the current note and the next note. You hold it until you go to the next note. So you have to do a lot of legato playing. So I had to adjust my playing to make legato playing become a part of me to enable portamento where I wanted, right? Because it's not very easy. You have to change your mindset for that. For
Correct.
Mahaganapatim, the way you saw me play, I had to play a lot of legato notes. Otherwise, it's going to not do that magic for me. The keyboard does all the
Got it.
magic, but you have to know how to tap that magic to your advantage, right?
Got it.
So
Got it.
portamento. So to wrap up this discussion about Carnatic
Yeah.
and the usage of keyboard in Carnatic, pitch bend wheel is also important. Portamento is also important. It's not an either or situation. Both of them are required. It's an and. This and this. You use certain situations the portamento. For certain situations, you use pitch bend is better. For example, Mahaganapatim. That very light, even Saveri. That is so minute variation, right? So those things playing as a pitch bend wheel, I find more comfortable than playing portamento for the slow, very short, subtle variations. For quick jumps for sa to pa, sa to ga, etc., etc., I find portamento to be much, much better tool. So it's a matter of
Understood.
hybrid
Okay.
technology.
So,
Yeah.
is there any limitation or is there any gamaka that you will not be able to do in keyboard that you could otherwise do in voice or other classical Carnatic instruments like
I
veena
don't
or
believe
violin?
I don't believe there is a limitation to the point where you cannot play. Let me put it that way. Now, violin is still considered the instrument that is closest to voice, right? The violin can seamlessly glide, all the notes and all the
Right.
glides and, very beautifully. Keyboard,
You just
I don't
heard
think it
some
can come.
Vinicas right there.
So keyboard cannot play the same part as a violin. It can come closer. We can come to as close as possible. Now that the reason is because you cannot violin, you can slide all the way. In keyboard, you have to tweak the portamento rate, which is the rate at which the glide happens. Because while you're doing alapana itself, as you go, the rate becomes faster and faster. When you
Yes.
start the phrase, it is slower. The gap you're trying to bridge is bridged slowly, right? And then
Right.
then the wave keeps on coming down, right? So you need to be able to manually adjust while you're playing the notes on the keyboard, how the
Okay.
rate goes. And that is all possible in very advanced keyboards, which are called workstations or synthesizers, which is what I played Mahaganapatim in one of the keyboards, right? So
Got
where
it.
you
Got
can
it.
control either in a knob that you can adjust or in a slider that you can go up and down to change the rate at which the portamento connects these two legato notes.
Got it.
So
Got it.
that is something which you have Carnatic musicians traditionally use to be able to play certain phrases very beautifully, mimicking as close as possible to the violin. Now there are certain ragas which are very easy to play. Most ragas are very, very attainable, but there are certain tough ragas, very tough ragas to play. Obviously, needless to say, even to sing or to play in any instrument
Right.
like
Right.
Todi,
Totally.
Varali, those kind of songs are very, very, very tough to play. But
Right.
with a lot of practice, it requires a humongous amount of practice, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's not like Mohanam. Mohanam is comparatively easier to play, right?
Right. Right. Right.
I'm not saying easy as in easy compared to the other ragas, right? Todi and the Gana ragams. The ability to play on the keyboard is also directly proportional to the amount of musical knowledge you have gained about
One
that
has.
particular raga
Okay.
lakshana. Without knowing the raga lakshana, the listening part comes first. 50% is listening. The remaining 50 is the one which is going to be the performing part, whether it's vocal or whether it's any instrument for that matter. The first 50 has to be solid. You have to listen to a lot of Todi renditions, a lot of songs, same song with different people singing different variations of the same song, knowing the gamakams, knowing the prayogams, those all matter when you play a Carnatic
So
song,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Same thing with the film songs also, right? But let's not digress from Carnatic since we are still on the Carnatic side. But the understanding part, analyzing the music part and getting it into your system, it's a very, very crucial part. That's
Yeah.
why all the gurus will always say, listen
Listen.
to the
Yeah.
music all the time.
Right.
Listen.
Right.
More than
Right.
practice, I think listening is the number one step. Practice is the
Yes.
second step. Yeah.
Second. Yeah.
Without listening, practice is not going to help.
Right. If you don't hear, then what are you actually, playing or singing, right? So beautifully
Correct.
said. So VK, before we move on to the next section, can you probably just demonstrate a small song maybe on this techniques that you just talked about?
Sure. Absolutely. All right. To demonstrate the concept of portamento and pitch bend, which I was talking to you earlier, first let me do a very, very high level. What is pitch bend? Okay. Pitch bend wheel in my keyboard right here, I have a joystick which goes up, down, left, right, everywhere. But most beginner level keyboards have have a pitch bend wheel on the left. So I don't know whether you can see it, but I think it's cut off in this keyboard, in this Yamaha that I have here. It is on the left side, which is a spring-loaded mechanism, goes up and down in the y-axis. It goes vertical. If you go up, it will change the pitch up. It will go down if you change the pitch down. In my keyboard here, this goes in the x and y axis, but I have configured the x axis to be the pitch bend. So when I go left, the pitch goes to the left, like how it is in the keyboard. So it goes. Let's say I play pa and I go left, it changes to a note which is less than pa. If I go right, it changes to a note which is higher than pa. Now,
Okay.
let me show you what I do. So let's say pa, and I go left, okay? You see that? It went from pa, ma,
Right.
I went to ma. And if you go right, pa, da, it went up to da. Now, why does it go to ma and da? Why not to other keys? and that is based on a function in the keyboard, a parameter called pitch bend range. Because when I do a pitch bend, you have to tell it bend how much, right? So by default, in any keyboard, by default, the pitch bend range is always 2. What is that number 2 represent? 2 represents semitones. Semitones
Okay.
means every key is called as a semitone. So from pa, one black key or one black key to the left or right, or one white key to the left or right, that is called as a semitone. An adjacent touching key. So for example, from white key, if there is an adjacent black key to the left, that is one semitone. If there is another white key to the left of that black key, that is considered 2 semitones from the original key, from where you came. So from G, you go to F sharp to the left, that is one semitone. You go to F, that will be considered 2 semitones from G. Okay. Similarly, from G, if you go one semitone to the right, that is called G sharp, which is the black key. And then 2 semitones from G will be A. So in this particular case, the Ma, Shuddha Madhyamam, will be 2 semitones from Pa, Pa, Ma. And then if you go up, it will be 2 semitones to the right from G to A, which is Da. Chatusruti Daivatam, Da 2, we call it. In Carnatic music, we have this confusion, right? Re 1, Re 2, Re 3, Ga 1, Ga 2, Ga 3. Okay, so that is Da 2. Okay, Shuddha Daivatam, Chatusruti Daivatam, that is the second Da. So, and when the pitch bend range is 2, that is the range when it goes and bends the note, when you go all the way to the left or down or upper, depending on the direction. Now, if I go partial, it only is a little bit. For example, if I take Ga, black Ga, Sa, Ga, right? If I bend too much, Ga, Re, it goes to Shuddha Rishabham, Re 1, C sharp. But if I go a little bit, it goes to D. Now, if I oscillate between this very carefully, I have to do it very carefully. See, Ga, Re. In Mahaganapatim's case, that is not called Ga, right? Sari. That is called Re3.
The Re3, yeah.
Chatsruti Rishabham, right? Yeah. So you go to Re and then you oscillate it to the note which is less than Re, but not quite there. It is in between, but it's oscillating. You go down, go up, go down, go up, go down. It's like a thermometer or a heat that's going up and down, it's not, you cannot exactly predict where it is, that kind of a thing, right? So you have to do that to be able, you can go left or right. So the concept here from a pitch bend perspective, usually the default is pitch bend range 2, right? It goes 2 semitones to the left, semitones to the right. I prefer to keep it 2, even though some musicians keep it 3. I have done it 3 also. 3 means it goes 3 semitones. The more the number, you can even go 12 semitones. When I go 12 semitones, that means there are 12 notes in the octave, which means when I play low Sa and go pitch bend up, it will go all the way to high Sa.
Yeah.
Correct. So I've used that for film songs. They go back and forth between low Sa and high Sa. In Carnatic music, we don't do that, right?
No,
we rarely do that. We do that, but that can be achieved by portamento also, right? Same thing here also. So generally, pitch bend range, we do not need to keep more than 2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
Okay. The downside of keeping more than 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever is you cannot have the finer control now. You can go 7 Sa to Pa, it will go. Sa, Pa, you can go. But Sa to Ga, you cannot stop very easily. Because in this particular range, you are going 7 notes. That means imagine one note, if I have to go so slow. It is very difficult to control with the pitch bend wheel. So pitch bend wheel, I would not touch and keep it 2 by default. That's what I use. Occasionally, I go 3. In fact, a lot of people in the last 25 years or so have taken to keyboards for Carnatic music. You must have seen on YouTube.
Yes, I have.
Keyboard Satya is
in
one
fact,
such.
In fact, I have seen T.N. Seshagopalan sir also play keyboard.
Correct. Yeah. So keyboard has become kind of not mainstream, but it is become an accepted part.
Part of Carnatic music.
Yeah,
yes.
People now are able to relate to. A lot of people in the Bay Area also, or the US also, are learning keyboards with the younger generation, right? The students. It is so heartwarming to see that keyboard
absolutely
is being used in Carnatic kacheris throughout the world now. So there are a lot of people that teach keyboard also Carnatic music throughout the world as well. But having said that, these are some of the things that you have to be aware of. The technology is there. We just have to get the right keyboard with the right technology. Portamento and pitch bend wheel, both of them are important. And you need to know how to use the keyboard, how to sever the instruments, how to know where the functions are in case you need to modify things and so on
Right.
and so forth.
Right.
So
Right.
what I mentioned so far was the pitch bend wheel and the range, and how you can manage pitch bend,
Mm.
where you use pitch bend and all that. I also mentioned in a passing about a concept called portamento, which when played legato will glide the note from this first note to the next note if you don't leave the first note. So I'm going to explain how that works on the keyboard. Now, I have said the portamento. If I don't want portamento like this, it jumps
Yeah.
discrete.
Yeah.
Okay, that is
Right.
that is
Right.
that is normally all keyboards and pianos work that way. Now I have set up my keyboard to have one uh, knob which can control the rate at which it will go. So if I touch sa and then don't let go of sa and touch the pa,
Mm.
and then you'll see the thing touch now. See, I am using two keys just to
Ah.
demonstrate that I'm left hand is holding the sa and my right hand is playing pa while left hand is still holding sa. Okay. You see, it took quickly,
Yes.
but it did connect. It was not discrete, right? It went quickly, right? I can increase it even more. It is
Yeah.
better, right? I can
Mm.
increase even more now that the rate will slow down. See? So in the மாதிரிலாம் வந்து இப்போ for example, if you have to use film songs, so for example, in the part, the moment I play, you will know what song I'm playing.
என் வீட்டு தோட்டத்தில்.
என் வீட்டு
Right.
தோட்டத்தில், yeah. That slide, if you play in a harmonium, you will not get the same effect. You
Right.
have to
Right.
play notes, Anuswaram and all that, but it will still not sound as good as how it
Right.
sounded, right? So we use the technique for film songs quite heavily. Portamento, pitch
Nice.
bend, and all
Okay.
that. Even for film songs also, portamento or pitch bend. Portamento is that, right? Will add a lot of value. You can see that the difference
Mm.
very subtle, but it is noticeable, right?
Right.
It, it,
Right.
it is
Right.
still, it is like salt. You have to use it carefully. If you overdo it, if you overdo it or underdo it, it's not going to sound good. So
Right.
the just the right amount. And what I mentioned here, this takes almost a month and a half for even my students to grasp. Okay,
Mm. Mm.
that one alone will take almost 2 weeks for you, because it's now a coordination of your left hand and
Left
right
and
hand.
right. Yeah.
How you coordinate from the time you strike the note to the time you do the pitch bend matters a lot. Okay,
Right.
when my
Right.
students see it, they'll be like, how are you able to play? How am I not able to play? I tell them I've been doing this for more than 40 years.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So, but I'm not saying they are going to take 40 years to activate like that. It will take quite an amount of time to get your brain to process your left. Just like in piano, also, when you start playing with two hands, your brain has to start processing how
Right.
in
Right.
what space or time do you have to play this versus this, right? So pitch
Absolutely.
bend is exactly
Absolutely.
the same. It's not any different. So pitch bend we also use very heavily. Both pitch bend and portamento you saw in use, which is used both in Carnatic. So it's a matter of understanding what the phrasing is, understanding your ability to control the left and right hand coordination, understanding the features portamento and pitch bend,
Right.
understanding how to configure them, what values you need exactly to simulate that uh, output you want, and then be able to practice. And when you practice, you have to practice always slow. Never
Mm.
ever practice in the original speed. That is a recipe for disaster.
Disaster.
Yes, you always have to practice slow. Thankfully, YouTube provides you the
Yes.
ability to slow down.
Slow down.
Okay,
So true.
so you slow down the video and then practice along with it. Or there are so many players which allow the same
Right.
ability to slow down the
So
audio as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
use the tools that are available in the modern world now. There is no dearth of data, songs available out there, and all the tools that you can apply to get the desired effect. You can increase the frequency, the pitch எல்லாம் மாத்தலாம்.
Yes.
இப்போ YouTubeல
So true.
there are a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
Chrome plugins that can do real time when you're playing the video. It will be able to change, which I use a lot of times in my class also, transpose plugin. So
Right.
a lot of tools are there. So we should use that
Right.
to
Right.
our advantage to help us.
So now you are a full-time musician. You used to work in technology in IT. How did that transition happen? How did you make the decision to quit?
That's a very good question. So a lot of people ask me this question. Yes, as you mentioned, I did take to full-time music as my profession back in 2018, July, August. So since August is when I professionally started teaching music, keyboard specifically, as a profession. Now, how it all started is that 10 years prior to that, this was back in 2007,
8. Yeah.
2008-ish. So we were not sure, when I say we, me and my wife, not sure how to manage our finances, in terms of what should we do, what should we look forward to, etc. So we went to a financial manager.
Advisor.
But before that, yeah, we went to financial manager and then asked that person, what do we do? So I told him, I want to retire when I'm 50. Tell me what. So he said, okay, looking at where you are,
Can
what
I
your
get
age is
your
and all that.
finance?
So he said, so my wife is like, no, I don't want you to retire. I said, I want to retire. So he said, you don't need a financial manager. You guys need a marriage counselor. Anyway, and then we are also, our kids were part of Chinmaya Mission. My wife still is. She teaches there. So in Balvihar, Fremont Chinmaya Mission. So at that point, now Swamiji, then he was called Brahmachari Prabhuji. So he used to come and give lectures while the kids were in college. So we used to attend the lectures because we were waiting for the kids anyway. So and the lectures were also good. A lot of good lectures we listened to in that 1 hour 15 minutes. So after the lectures, we all go and do namaskaram, right?
Right.
So me and my wife, we used to sit in different parts and we used to do namaskaram separately. It took him for a lot many years later. Oh, you both are related. Okay. So one time when I went and when that happened, I talked to him and then said, Prabhuji, this is what you're thinking of. I want to retire. What should you do? The first question he asked is, to answer your question, first look at what your responsibilities are. Have you satisfied all your responsibilities as a parent? Okay. So how old are your kids? Oh, so small. Okay. Have you planned for their college and education? Okay. Have you planned for your retirement? If not, then don't retire. So he put it very plainly saying, do your dharma, duty, that comes first. The
First. Yeah.
responsibilities come
Yeah.
first, than your personal passion and things like that. So, make sure that you don't let go of that. That's primary. So that's the opening statement. But then this, at the back of my head, this was constantly there. That someday I have to take to music, right?
So true.
So during the time, a couple of kids who are my friends' sons and daughter. So they live in the same area that we used to live, and then we are part of a family. Vishnu sir family. We used to meet quite frequently every month. So their son and daughter, I started teaching them during the summer break. So teaching them small songs, two songs, three songs during the summer break, and that was about it. It was a more,
Right.
it was not formal teaching or anything, just my
Sure.
touching the waters, treading the waters, so to say, getting the feet wet of how
Yeah.
I would be. But I don't think I was anywhere close to what I am today in terms of how I operate. But it gave me an idea of what I was not good at. So because of those two primary students who were my scapegoats, so to say. Okay. And then in 2017, much later, about 5 years later, 2017 December is when I actually officially started under the banner Keyless Academy. I actually set up a business name called Keyless Academy, and then I started teaching to people. Now, how that happened, people don't know about me, right, as a teacher. So I used to play, right, in a lot of stage shows. So after the shows, some people will come up to the stage and then say, "Oh, wonderful program, you played very great. Do you teach?" That's the next question they ask. I said, no, I don't teach. But then I tell them, oh, give me your phone, email. And then if I do decide to do someday, I will reach out to you.
I'll reach
So I
out to
had
you.
about
Okay.
10 or 12 email addresses or 15 email addresses that people were interested. So back in December 2017, I said, let me send the mail to 5 people, see how many
How
respond and
respond?
start with them. And that's how 2 people responded. That's how I started. I started with those 2 people because I had them in my wish list of people wanting to learn music in my
Right.
Gmail. I labeled them, right? So I went and messaged them, and that started 2 people. With 2 people only in December 2017, I started. And then by January, it became 3 or 4. And by April, it became about 10 or 13 or something of 2018. Okay. So at that point, my last job, I think, was at Workday, okay, in Pleasanton. So I was an integration architect. I was doing integration work, since 2000 to 2018. So 18 years, I was doing all the SOA, middleware, whatnot,
Right.
TIBCO, MuleSoft, been there, done that.
Done
So
that.
and then one fine morning, one Thursday night, I came down to my wife. I was not able to sleep. I was tossing and turning from 10 o'clock. I was not able to sleep. And my wife was downstairs watching some TV. And then I came down to her and says, I need to talk. And she was scared. Don't tell me you haven't.
I need to talk is usually a
I
scary
know.
way
I
to
know. I
start a
didn't realize that
conversation.
there are other meanings for that. Anyway, so she said, what is that? I said, I'm thinking of quitting my job. She was like, why? No, I don't feel motivated to go. I
Right,
don't
right,
feel the same urge that I used to have some time
right.
back. Right? Yeah, I'm struggling to get out of my bed to go to work. Right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of strangling feeling I got.
Yes, yes.
Because it was very stressful because of the
Mm.
deadlines. Every time it was a deadline,
Yeah.
that thing, this line, this line. So kind of got a little bored, so to say. There was no motivation. Same thing you're doing over and over again for different clients. What is the point? So
Right,
I
right.
decided, I told her, I want to teach music full time. Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm very sure. This is what I want to do. I'm going to set up a email, a meeting with my manager tomorrow. That was on a Thursday night. So Friday morning, I'm going to
So
set up
you
a.
already had made up your mind.
Yeah. So she was also that is what I'm coming to. The family has to be very supportive. My
Yes.
wife, in this case, she was very, very supportive of that idea. And then she said, okay, if that's what you want to do, go for it. Okay.
Mm.
And then next day morning, I messaged her saying, I want a meeting. And then she came, and then I broke this news to my manager. And then she said, oh, so we don't want to lose you. You're so good in explaining stuff, when
And,
with the customers, the technology, and how to do the stuff and all that. So I've seen you in all those meetings. So why don't you try different group, like corporate training, and so on and so forth, so you can go as part of an instructor to go to clients' places and explain about
sure.
our technology and all that. I said, right, yeah, I've been thinking about that too, sometime back, but not now. I want to do music. So that's
Uh,
how I started music. And when I started music, I was very particular about one thing. I
mm.
will do music, but I will not teach Western classical. There are two reasons for
Ah,
that. One thing is,
okay.
I'm not good at it because I've never learned formal Western classical.
Formally,
I
yeah.
know a little bit pieces of that because my sons went through piano classes.
Sure.
So while sitting with them for practice, to make them practice, I've gone through the sheet music and what
Sure,
the
sure.
stuff. But that's not something that interested me. There are so many piano teachers available. You throw a rock, wherever it falls, there'll be a piano teacher, right?
Yes.
Out of the world, right? What I decided was, I have to do something niche, something that is not,
Mm.
which adds value, something which is tied to our cultural roots. Then
Correct, correct.
I will do everything Indian, mostly.
Mm.
So whether it's Indian classical music, Carnatic, or Indian film music, or
Film
you
music.
songs like bhajans and things like that.
Mm, mm,
Rarely I break that exception to go to English pop songs. It's
mm.
only because my younger students want to learn that. Okay.
I remember Siddharth wanted
Yeah, that is an exceptional case.
K-pop and Shakira songs.
I don't want to make them feel bad if I say no.
Right,
But
right.
generally I stick to everything Indian. Now, having said that, that is how my teaching thing started back in
Mm,
2018
nice.
August. Full time. Keyless Academy is the name of my school,
Yep.
and under which I teach all that stuff. I teach for both kids as well as adults. In fact, I have
Adults.
people who are even 60 plus. In fact, one time there was a 70-plus-year-old mommy who learned from me
Oh.
for 3-4 months because she saw me play harmonium for a Nama Sangeetanam in a temple.
Uh,
Okay. She was there in the audience and she says, I am so interested in bhajans. Can you teach me harmonium? And
uh.
then I taught her some bhajans while she was here.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So
Very nice.
I have taught a variety of people from. I don't take kids less than 5. I feel that 5 is a right age to start. Okay.
Mm.
So because they have the aptitude to be at least be able to listen, comprehend what I'm able to say, at
And be
least
able to
be a
sit,
little
right?
active. Hmm?
Yeah. You have the kids also need to be able to sit and
Sit and
play.
sit. Yeah, exactly. They need to sit through, but with parents' guidance initially at that small age, right? So
Right.
yeah, that's how it all started. So
Nice.
yes, so that is how my keyboard teaching journey started, and so far I'm loving it. In fact,
Nice.
many people will ask me, "Oh, how did the transition go? How are you liking it?" I said, "This is the best decision I've ever made in my life." So I'm not answerable to anybody. I decide my own fate. and I love doing it. That's more important. You
Right,
should
right.
you start doing something and you should put in your effort. You're passionate about what you do, and that's very important to me. But that's what I tell my students also. My aim is not to make you pass exams. When somebody calls me, when probable parents or students, they want to approach me and say, hey, no, I want to know the details about the class. First thing I say is, I don't prepare your son or daughter for
For
competing in tournaments, for getting a certificate,
right.
passing this level exam, that level exam. No, that's not what I do. I instill the discipline
The joy
plus
of
the
playing
joy of
music.
music. Exactly.
Right,
So
right,
they need to be able to appreciate and listen to music and appreciate. If I have done that, I have done my job. Okay.
right, right,
Music is beyond looking at college resumes, college apps.
right,
Okay.
right,
You
right.
don't come to my class because you want to put in college apps. You will not get anything. Okay. You come to my class, I guarantee you, your music is going to be staying with you like how it is staying with me for the rest of your lives. And I
Yeah,
can guarantee you,
absolutely.
post college and post college lives, you are going to need a thing to hold on to, like music, for your stress reduction. It's
Yes,
going to be,
yes.
life is going to be stressful. It's going to
Yeah,
throw events at you, which is going to test your patience level. So
for
I
sure.
am very, very patient with my students, because teaching requires immense amount of patience. Okay,
Yes.
whether it's for kids or for adults also, right? Because when you say some concept, some people readily get it, some people don't. You cannot
Yeah,
be upset that somebody is not getting. Each individual is different.
it's
It's not
different.
the
Yeah,
fact. Each journey is different, right? Everybody has some unique talents. They may
yeah.
not be great in music, but they may be great in something else, which
Something
I'm
else. Yeah,
completely not good at, right? So
right.
it is perfectly fine. So I have a spectrum of people who fall into all categories, and people who want to learn only Carnatic. Some students learn only Carnatic. Some
Hmm.
students learn only devotional. Some
Hmm.
students learn only film songs, and some
Hmm.
students learn a combination of all.
Combination of all. Right,
So
right, right.
there is switching happening even within classes. Within 30 minutes, I only do 30-minute one-on-one class. Okay, one-on-one class. I don't do
Group classes.
group
Yeah.
lessons. And all my classes are 100% online, remotely
Right.
through Google Meet. Okay,
Hmm.
so I don't do. Before COVID, I used to have Bay Area, at least closer people, Fremont and Newark areas, come to my studio, my home.
Hmm.
But after COVID struck, it was completely 100% remote, and then I
Right,
continue to do
right.
that 100% remote, because it works for me, it works for my students and their parents also. They don't have to
Hmm.
shuttle the kids anymore. Now
Got
people
it.
will, first question they ask is, oh, how does it work remotely for keyboard? Don't they have to see your keyboard movement and all that stuff? So I tell them, oh, there's a way to do that. I have a camera overhead, so it points at the keyboard, and
Right, right,
I change that camera so that you can see me play.
right,
And I
right.
record all my classes. Every class is recorded, and the students are able to view the recordings after the class, long after the class. It's in fact not even deleted so far. Okay, it's
Hmm.
all there in Google Drive, and then all those recordings, I make it available for my students,
Got it, got
and
it, got it.
including the notations. Now, with respect to notations, I put all my notations out there on my website,
Website.
which
Hmm.
is called keylessonline.com. Now, keylessonline.com is only used as a supplemental educational resource for my Keyless Academy, which started much later. Keyless
Hmm.
Academy started only in December 2017, right? Like I
Hmm.
mentioned earlier. Whereas keylessonline.com has been in existence since 1999. So
Hmm.
my effort, or my interest to publicize whatever I have written. This is
Hmm.
my interpretation of the songs, by the way.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
not somebody else wrote and then I just copy
Right,
and paste. So
right,
it
right.
is, I listen to the song, I notate it in Sarigimapa and the chords or whatever orchestration. Everything is there on my website since keylessonline.com was established, and I started providing notes back in 1999. Now, there is an interesting, important reason for that. May 99 is when my dad passed away.
Ah.
So that is when it struck me. What
Hmm.
is that we are doing in life? We have to do something better for others, because my
Hmm.
father stood for it. He was always the guy who helps others, whether it is
Hmm.
finding matching for, ponnu mappala, bride groom matching, or whether it is finding jobs for people who still remember now when I talk to them, there is nobody that can be like your dad. They'll still say that. So he was
Hmm.
my role model. He was very, very organized. He used to write down everything on his paper. In fact, I have sheets right now also where every competition he has enrolled me. He used to enroll me in so many competitions. My mom will tune, and then she'll teach me the tune, how to sing, and I'll go and sing. Whether or not I get prize is a different story, but I used to go to a lot of competitions,
Sure.
singing competitions,
Yeah.
right? Bharadiyar songs or that songs. In fact, it's so
Right.
funny. The Bharadiyar Sangam conducts a Bharadiyar songs event every year.
Right.
I went and participated 9 years, and I got prizes 8 years in a row. Okay,
Nice.
8 years out of the 9. Every time, along with the certificate, they'll give a Bharadiyar padam. In fact, people used to joke, there is more Bharadiyar padams than your own family members' photos in your house.
Right. Right.
So that, so I still vividly remember those
Uh,
moments, and I should
Nice.
thank
Nice.
my father and mother for that, because he was extremely good at documenting. In fact,
Mm.
outside music also, even for my classes, when I used to go to school, right, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, he used to do graph paper. Graph
Oh,
papers.
yeah. Yes. I
Okay.
remember the
So in the
back in the
graph
days.
paper,
Yeah.
he used to put bars,
Uh,
the number 0 to 100 on the vertical axis, and then subjects, math, physics, chemistry, science, whatever, on the x-axis. And he used to put bar, and then he will not stop there. He will come to the school, show it to my class teacher, show it to the principal. And my principal even notes, I have not seen another parent like your dad who took so much interest, who used to document everything that you did about. That shows how much interest he has in
Right.
you.
Right.
So that is
Right.
the same amount of interest. I got that, the sense of organizational skills, even though I am not even close to what he has done pre-internet technology. Okay, now we have
Right.
all the tools. We have AI, we
Right.
have that, we have this. But I'm nowhere close. But I feel that I'm reasonably
Organized.
organized, both personal stuff as well as my Keyless Academy. In fact,
Got it.
right from day one, I have a spreadsheet where I have documents of every class that has happened for every
Mm.
student,
Student.
what was taught, a summary of what was taught in class, what are all the links that were shared, what are all the video links for that student.
Mm.
Everything is in my sheet. Everything.
Wow.
People when they see it, they're like, "What? You have this for every class, every student from day one of your class teaching?" So this sheet, interestingly, was there, and I have been using it to my advantage very beautifully. And then, with the advent of AI in the last year or so, I decided there were a lot of manual stuff, right,
Mm.
that I was pinning my time on. And I'm
Mhm.
sure you also had a question relating to that. You were thinking about that, right? So,
Yeah.
the organization of how do you manage students? How do you
Yes.
manage payments?
Mhm.
How do you manage the class recordings and things like that, right? So what I do is that this spreadsheet was already there, and
Mm.
people will Zelle as the preferred payment. Only thing is, there are students who are outside the US who don't have Zelle, because Zelle is
Mm.
only available in US. They
Yeah.
use PayPal,
PayPal.
but
Mm.
generally I prefer Zelle for my US students. So the moment Zelle comes, there is an email notification that comes to me.
Yes.
Previously,
Yes.
you know what I used to do? Every month, for all the students that I have, I used to go to my bank account, find out
Uh,
all the Zelle payments. The Zelle payment comes from parent name. Okay.
right.
Now I have to
Right.
manually associate.
Match
Oh,
them.
this
Right.
parent is for
Yeah.
the student. No. So then I have to put that value in the spreadsheet. Oh, this parent paid for this student.
Mm.
So that payment gets associated to the student. Now, that was a manual effort, and I used to spend almost 30 to 40 minutes every month
Mm. Mm.
on this mundane activity. And then
Right.
I said, "Oh, there are a lot of tools, Chat GPT, Gemini, let's use that and see whether we can automate this." Okay. And then I started reorganizing my data around this automation. So there was a lot of data reorg that I had to do to insert this new logic into this thing. So I created a script which runs every night, and then finds out all the Zelle emails that comes, extracts the information, and then based
Ah,
on my master sheet where I have the student information, right? The student information has not just the student name, but the
it's
parent's
also the
email,
parent
student's
name.
email, the
Right.
payee name, the Zelle payee name is there. So
Right.
when I extract from the email, I know where the Zelle payee is. If the
Right. Right.
parent name is John, then I know it has to be associated or correlated to Joe, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that everything was automated. And then I said, oh, this information is there. Sometimes students, parents will ask me, oh, how much do I owe? And I said, why don't I make that public? So I said, let's create an interface, a portal where the parents and students can join. The students will have all the information, including all the details of classes that they've attended so far, including all the recordings that you can click from the portal to see the video, including all the recitals they have performed. Click, you can see the recital videos of their performances. And then I said, wow, I'm having the organized data. I just have to make it public. The only problem is I cannot share the whole sheet to everybody. Google Sheet allows you to share, but I cannot share at the row level or specific rows for specific students, specific parents, etc. Then I came up with an idea. Why don't I slap a portal and have a username password? And that username is the parent email or the children email that I have in my sheet. Only those people can register. So I created a portal. So they go to the portal, they register, and then they have access to all the stuff instantly. Every information that they've done until today will be there. Okay, so that is the advantage it gives me is it frees me of some of the time that I was trying to answer questions, simple mundane questions that they can get directly from the portal. Number two, it is much easier. It is more transparent, right? There is no you gave money, or you did not give me money, or I gave but you didn't document it. All those things are not there anymore.
Not there.
So there is no confusion about payments. It's very clear, black and white. Either it is there or it's not. If it is not there, you did not pay. Simple as that. So it works out very well. It works out very well. So far, the response has been tremendous. I've been successful in at least making 70% of my students sign on to the portal so far. So which is great. Which is still I am trying to get my parents and students to sign up. But hopefully I'll be able to succeed in the next month or two.
Nice. And I also heard from other Bay Area gurus, somebody I recently interviewed did mention when I was bringing up this financial aspect that there's this person, VK, he has this Keyless Academy. He recently demoed an Excel sheet. I'm like, I know who you're talking about.
That is true. Actually, what happened was I was talking to a few of my Bay Area friends. In fact, I interviewed a lot of my Bay Area friends before I took to music full time because they were not doing full time. They were doing part time, but they are established teachers in the Bay Area, like 10 years, 15 years, they've been teaching already. So I interviewed a lot of people as to what their pain points were and, what to look forward to, how are they teaching, from a teaching part. I never talked about the organizational part. I never realized that. But at least the teaching part. But coming to your point, when in December I was talking to one of my musician friends, and he said one of his students or parents did not pay for 2 to 3 years.
Oh my God!
Like, how the heck do you? You did not know. Okay, you are busy, and it's only a side thing that you are doing. But how can the parent not know?
Right.
Class, right? So, and then I was telling him how I do stuff, and then 2 or 3 people that I talked to in the next 1 week after that, they all had exactly the same problem. Same point as to how to do the payment management. How are you managing that? So I said to them, I'll set up a demo. You see my system live, and then you figure out what you want. So I showed them the demo of what I have, including the portal that I was talking to earlier. And then they said, wow, this is all great. But again, my portal and my solution is very targeted to my requirement, one-on-one classes. Now, in their case, they are not only one-on-ones, they have group lessons also.
Group classes,
right? So what I told them is, here is the thing. I will share what I have. You use your AI tools. You enhance it to whatever you want.
It.
Right? You tweak it. I don't need to tweak it because I'm not going to be in the group. My aim is not to make money, not necessarily meaning group means money. My aim is group is not going to be conducive for a lesson keyboard class online. Online group lessons is not going to work out. Okay, because if everybody plays music at the same time, it will be catastrophic cacophony. And I cannot have mute. Oh, you mute, now you play. You unmute, you play. Only one line we learn in half an hour, 1 hour class. Okay. So group lessons is not something I'm interested in. I want to provide absolute one-on-one, dedicated to the learning of music. That student will be very focused and learn what they have to. No distractions, no nothing for that for the time frame of the class. So that is the big difference. So I told them after the demo, I'll give you a spreadsheet template. I'll scrape off all the personal details about my students and parents. I'll give you the spreadsheet template with the code. You decide how you want to change the template,
you want to use
how you want to change the code. Take it, throw it, whatever you don't want to. That's up to you. Code is generic code. It's a vibe coding that I did, so you could do the vibe coding too. Everybody's technology people, right? So they can figure out.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so that's what happened.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Great story. So VK, we touched on a variety of topics. We started in Carnatic music, and almost right now we're on the money aspect of it, which is also an extremely important topic to cover. Because at the end of the day, we need to survive. So, VK, thank you so much for a wonderful educational session today. I learned a lot about you, your music background, and how to play Carnatic music in keyboard, and how you transitioned into a little lighter music, and also your insight in how to organize, how to become a teacher and just stay organized, both in financially, as well as just keeping up with the technologies and stuff like that. And very informative session. Thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast.
Thank you so much for spending time to interview me. I appreciate it. This gave me a lot of opportunity to reflect on my past, on my childhood days, again, relive those memories. So thank you for that. And good luck with your ventures too.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today. If this inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe.